don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't
Jamaica big
believe
country.
that.
Jamaica big country.
No.
So yeah, big country.
But brother, I tell you, say, me not believe that. I
The
tell
It's
you,
UAE
say,
small, man, but
a small
in
country,
terms
man.
of in terms of desert and vastness, they have
right.
a large
Mm-hmm.
What
amount of
population down
desert
there?
that is
What
undeveloped.
population? What population?
You can't use the
Local population
population.
is like 2-3 million, but the total population is about 10.
You
Right.
can't, you can't use the population because Guyana have a population. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Guyana population reach 500,000, and Guyana have one of the largest landmass in the dung on that side. So
Yeah,
you,
but I
you
say a
know,
small country with
in terms of
eh,
population, you say
anywhere you want to keep.
no
Right.
landmass, no brother, no brother.
Yeah, that's a small country, man. UAE is a small country.
What you say? What you say, Yaga?
A
It's
small
small, man,
country.
but it's small in comparison to some large countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, no go so, brother.
You know, call it a large country, not even a
Brother,
medium.
no go so. No
Iraq.
go so.
Iran is a big country.
10
Saudi
times.
Arabia, whole heap of landmass, even though they don't live in their whole life. Saudi Arabia big, but they live now some small part.
But Ralph, let me
Mm,
put it in perspective.
mm,
The UAE, right,
mm-hmm.
is smaller than South Carolina. The UAE is
And so called,
smaller than
I want a
South
smaller state then.
Carolina in mass. So figure it out.
No, no about that.
Yes, hi.
No man, a
Check
small
it
country
out,
man.
man. Check it
No
out.
UAE,
go
Check
check
it
the
out
out.
it
O
right
the
now.
Oman them, the UAE,
It's a
all them little
small
places.
country, aye. Very small.
Qatar them small Virgin.
Small
Yeah,
countries.
small place them.
Smaller than South
That's
Carolina.
why they become target that.
UAE has a
No,
total area of approximately 83,600 square kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. They say the closest state to UAE is Maine, and Maine small rasta.
Yeah man,
Maine real
small
small.
country.
Maine is one of the smallest states after Rhode Island. So
No, all
go
right. If you
figure.
compare like the UAE in the region, not the region. Let's
Yeah.
call it the region. Now the
Yeah.
region is a small country in the region.
Mm-hmm.
Brother, I want the
It's
first
small,
place me
man.
go. I want the first place me go. And me drive that till me tired to drive.
Eh?
I tell you
I'm sure you're
that.
tired, Dada.
Yeah.
But,
You
brother,
know, easy to drive through the desert like sun up,
brother,
brother. You know, I see nothing on both side.
brother,
Yeah.
brother.
You
Yeah.
know,
Listen.
normal.
And me mean to say road just a go on, so a go on, so if that one small place, brother, me no want to see a big place.
That's small, man. It's small. That's
Small man,
small.
small country.
Hey, Ras,
Dada.
from the
Yo,
gates.
from Abu Dhabi, you know, from Abu Dhabi to
Mm-hmm.
Dubai,
Mm-hmm.
you look one nearly almost 2 hour driving, you know.
Mm-hmm.
2 hour sitting
I know
driving.
so much, man. It depends on the geography because if you drive from the city to Dubai in a 45 minutes to reach Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But if you drive from in the desert, deep desert,
Mm-hmm.
that you can take up to 100 an hour and a half to reach
Right.
down there. So
See, and you talk about when you think about the driving, you talk about no stoplight, you know.
Yeah.
You talk about
The
100 and
straight
something,
road.
100 and something mile an hour, kilometer, or whichever one it is, you know, brother.
140.
Yeah. You drive at that pace, you know, and it'll take you almost 2 hours, you know. And that are just two city.
Mm.
Brother, if them say that a place a little,
A
something,
little.
But then you
something, something.
compare that means we are compared to bigger countries still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Brother,
Because if you
Yeah,
drive
man.
same way, if you drive from New York to California, a couple of days. Well, you understand? That's a big country.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a terrible thing. You know, say, the one thing we mentioned it over the past week, we have mentioned it a couple of times. Well, sovereignty. When we have a discussion about sovereignty. Oh, does sovereignty exist? Still exist? Did it ever exist? You know what I mean?
Zane.
Or we can reach a place where sovereignty, we have sovereignty, and sovereignty is respected. You know what I mean? And yeah, sovereignty. We use it a lot, but we don't really go deep into what is really sovereignty.
So
Because
different sovereignty.
it become a big discussion now, we know. Because everybody
Well, we talk about it, right?
sovereignty now, we know. Huh?
So
We
different
talk about
sovereignty.
it. Yeah.
Look you up.
We're gonna use it. You bring topic on my chat class.
Yeah, but I a researcher.
So well, easy, you know.
So we spoke about this before, right? And I'll tell you what it means. It means sovereignty is the supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable power within a state to govern itself, make laws, and manage its own affairs independent of external control. That's what sovereignty is. So it identifies a nation's independence, territorial integrity, and the legal authority of its government, as seen in examples like national sovereignty over borders of popular sovereignty. So that's what it is. Your inalienable right to rule your country, to set laws, to manage your own fear, to be independent of external forces.
But that remember, say you also have personal sovereignty to of yourself,
Right.
That's the man deal it. So.
But we're talking about within the structure of living within a country itself, right? The country.
Geopolitics and diplomacy.
Geopolitics, what it
Yeah,
means.
Yeah.
But the two of them coincide still.
Yeah.
But based on that definition, which country we can say sovereign?
Which country can say?
Yeah, which country can say they are truly sovereign?
Straighten your glasses.
Yo, I want hunger the planet in a better. Right now. Right now is a new frame.
The next angle get bomb.
Right now is a new frame. We have to get that stuff. So
no pun intended. It's not a good look.
Yeah, that was a personal break. Yes, no. When I asked about in terms of sovereignty, which country?
Yeah. Which country can say they're truly sovereign?
The one who has dominant power. So right now, the countries that have dominant power, they could say they're sovereign because nobody else coming in and doing them nothing. Them running the show as they see fit. So the countries like China, Russia. USA, Russia, them is the country who have sovereignty.
Not our South Korea.
Yeah, North Korea. Right? Places like that.
If you have
those are sovereign countries.
If you have nuclear, you are sovereign.
Yeah, sovereign.
Yeah.
Look on. Yaga, so you can put up the topic, army. See up on the topic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look, me I said, it now is US couldn't be sovereign because the claim is Israel like all the shots.
So Israel sovereign too.
So, but I say US are sovereign because Israel like all the shots.
Well. But we know Israel is an arm of the US, right? We know that.
Just not alone neither. them only can call the shot to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if them
yeah.
go
They
over
are
the
armor
extent, a
US.
problem for them same way too.
No, but them so based on what we are saying about sovereignty, if
Mm-hmm.
they can call even some shots, then the sovereignty, it kind of, you know what I mean? They might invade upon the sovereignty of US.
All
Or
right,
in right.
here the catching of that now. The catching of that is if it done through diplomacy, like through amicable
Mutual
terms,
agreement.
it's different. Where it impeach and sovereignty now is when time them will come and impose it.
Mm.
Why if you say, yo, because if we have a discussion and say, boy, Okavango, you know, say, I feel say it better wear a great turban today. And your father and wear the great turban, and still your choice to wear it, you never have to do it,
Yeah,
none of
yeah.
it. Suggest it, you see me?
No infringement on your
Right.
rights.
So, but
Yeah.
if you come now and say, yo, hey boy,
You
wear
have
this,
to.
it's different now. That then now you can say it and impose upon them sovereignty. But like what go on with Iran now, where them go over there and take out the leader, mash up the place, do what them are doing, that is an impeachment upon the people, them sovereignty. You see me? Cause them never come and say, yo, me think say it better you try and get this man out of power, because it's not a good look for the place, or it's not a good look for the world affairs and whatever reason they want to put together. You
Yeah.
understand? Then you can say them not impose upon the people them sovereignty. But when you come now with bullyism and brute force, I'll say, I saw you want it and I saw it have to go. No, you are imposed upon people's sovereignty. Because what we have to over with sovereignty, is that a person's sovereignty ends, where the next person's sovereignty begins, You see me I deal with a person's sovereignty. Your sovereignty only extends as far as it doesn't impose on the next person's sovereignty. That are how it's going now. You see, so that are the fundamental principle of
Mm-hmm.
sovereignty. So once you know, do not impose on the next person's sovereignty, then everything is good and intact. But when you do that now, there's no conflict and them thing that arise. But you have places where have sovereignty, man. You have places where have sovereignty. For a world affair, these are the major players. But you still have other places where
Me give you
indigenous too,
call
what have sovereignty same way.
a while ago, no call US,
Russia, China,
Russia, China,
North Korea, Israel.
North Korea against
Brazil.
Israel, against
Yeah,
Israel.
Brazil. You have places, man. You have India. You have places, right, that have actual sovereignty in the sense that they run in their own affairs.
But look on India, right?
Mhm.
India has been told not to buy oil from Russia.
But they've been buying oil.
It
No, but
didn't stop them though.
no, they don't stop what they are.
They're buying oil
That
again
that
from
that that,
Russia.
that's what them saying at the public domain.
Yeah, they buying oil from Russia.
No, one day
Because
them have some agreement with you, so them have stop by it, them have chase it out.
They
That was
never
it.
stop. They
No, they
never
never
stop.
stop. What me I said,
They
them
never
said
stop.
them agree with US, so them go phase out the oil and them start
So,
by less.
so again,
Yeah.
agree.
And now they're buying more
No,
again.
but they were forced to agree that.
How were they forced?
Well, I know they was
They were
forced.
forced to agree to buy less oil.
How were they forced?
Forced by the US to buy less oil.
Oh,
They
were
buy
they
more
forced? How
oil
were they
and
forced?
them want more
argument.
oil and they were forced to say, okay, don't buy this amount of oil, buy less oil. It's not what they want. They
What
wanted.
may I say, how were they forced? We don't know if they were forced or just through discussion and
They
them come to
agree.
agreement.
They agree.
We don't know.
Because
I
Regime,
remember
we
say
know
forced,
that them forced because we have followed the thing, we have followed the rest of it. Then they buy a certain amount of oil. US doesn't like the amount of oil they were buying from it because they said they must support the war machine in Russia. So the negotiation has been going on all on. They've been heckling Russia, the Europe and everybody push India to buy less. And then they finally give in and say,
But
okay, don't buy less.
but still it's
as far
agreement.
what
But
thing
what
is,
makes
as far as Russia concerned, there wasn't any change since the pronouncement of that statement. Nothing has changed
nothing changed?
since the pronouncement of that statement. And India has came out and said that, listen, we decide our destiny and we decide who we do business with.
Yeah.
So it's
That
just
was just
hot
a check.
here and people talking and saying things because it suits their domestic agenda. But in reality, nothing has changed in that regards. And the reason why I had to look into that because I had a reasoning with a brethren about the same thing last week because they were saying that they are disappointed with India because of that same issue.
Mm.
I may say, that really make no sense because the oil that is going from Russia to India hasn't changed because they might get preferential treatment. And
Mhm.
why would you go and buy more expensive oil if you can get it cheap? And on the other hand, the EU has decided to phase out Russian oil. See? But at the same time,
Mm.
they're buying it from India.
Mhm.
That
Right.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
India would have kill them on two way. Because they would have buy more expensive oil, one, and then they would have lose their market to sell oil to EU, two.
Mhm.
So it don't make sense to you.
But look how
And,
Russia
and,
come
and
out on
this
top
week
again
now,
though. Because with the
just
war
a few
going
days
on,
ago now, you see, US said, okay,
everybody buying from
we're
Russia.
gonna give Russia a
And,
30-day moratorium to sell the oil that has already been on the pipeline and in containers since Thursday, so
Mhm.
that we create stability on the market. In which case, everybody know there's gonna be instability in the market if Russian oil is not on the market because Russia is one of the biggest producers of oil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's rough, bro, because you see, with all of them things, we in a this cloak and dagger thing where people that do things and blaming other things. Oh, we're gonna attack Iraq because of WMDs. We're gonna attack Iran because of the presence of nuclear potential for weapons and all of these things. But then we come to find out that there are other mitigating factors or really propel these decisions and these actions. You understand? So now, when we look at the whole thing, we see a clear call for. On the chat class, we use the word colonialism. On their side, they're talking about establishment or re-establishment of their dominance and as a sovereign power in the hemisphere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we see that is a call for them to come back or to regain. So now the stance has gone from a MAGA stance to a hemispherical stance now, because now it's
Mm-hmm.
make us great again, not just on the continent, but in the hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And as we were talking in a previous chat class, where we say all these things, when these things happen, yes, you may benefit personally, but there are so many other human beings on the planet who will now be victims of this decision or these actions. So is it worth it? You know,
And
see.
again, Ras, as we was discussing, right? The people, the majority of people are not making these decisions, right?
No.
The majority of human beings want to live comfortably, want to have a decent life as they see, however they see fit that life to be, right? But the people who are making these decisions are the minority.
So
Literally the minority. The people who go into war is the minority, but the people who are dying is the majority of people
yes,
who have
sir.
nothing to do with
To do
any
with
of those
mhm.
decisions. And
True.
that is the problem with the systems
True.
we live in. It's
And
called
that is one reason
dominance.
too. That is one reason to why these things happen. Because the
Yes,
people who are in the position, the decision making positions, do not feel the effects of these decisions.
they don't. Nor
So
do
it's
they care.
easy. They're detached from the
Mm-hmm,
consequences of it. So it's
mm-hmm,
easy for them to say, you know what, go ahead, do it. So
President,
until we have a situation where the people who are making these decisions actually can really feel the impact of these decisions, we won't see these decisions changing.
mm-hmm.
uh, the other day, right, we're talking about Jamaica and the Cuban
Tomorrow.
situation,
Oh,
right?
the Cubans, okay.
Cuban situation, not a situation, or healthcare workers, right? I'm saying if if the item must say India, let's say India made a decision to buy less oil.
Mhm.
Couldn't we say Jamaica make the decision to get rid of the Cuban doctors or whatever they say them do,
Mhm.
Mm.
which end up in the Cuban doctors leaving, which is what America wanted
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
are about to
in the
leave.
discussion, we also said Okavango. We
Mhm.
also said things what we say we used to say this was a pressure on them. Because like we talk about visas, revocation of visas. We spoke
Mhm.
about stuff like
Economic sanctions.
right. We spoke about
Yeah.
these stuff to say these were things what we can use to say them are force them to this
Right.
decision. So that's why I asked the guy what happened in an India case. Why you say
Yeah, but it was the same threat towards India, you know.
okay, right? That's why we asked you.
The threats of tariff
Okay,
and
right, right. That's
yeah,
what we asked. Yeah, that's what we asked. Yeah. So if those things are there, then it's a force.
yeah,
Yeah,
because
but the difference is India never gave in.
Mhm.
India continued to do trade with Russia. That was a discussion. Remember, this was a discussion between America and India. But India continued to do trade, and now that trade increased because Russia have this
30
memorandum
days.
right now where you could
Mhm.
sell more oil. So that makes them
And the
sovereign. When
whole
you could make decisions for your country without outside influence, no matter what the pressure is,
Or
that's what we're talking about.
despite of
Sovereignty
threats and
in,
pressure,
in spite of
despite
it.
of threats and pressure.
Yes.
the whole idea, was supposed to suffocate Russia
Yeah.
from selling the oil and getting the money because
Mhm.
them claim say that them are used to invest
Again,
in the war
cloak
and
and
prolong
dagger
the
again in a
war.
Yes.
yaga.
Yes.
Cloak and dagger again in a yaga.
Hmm.
Cloak and dagger again in a because them come out and say they want to suffocate Russia in their oil production and oil distribution, right? And yet still as a result of this action, it has pushed Russia into greater production and greater distribution.
do you know that Iran is selling more oil than they usually before the war?
Right.
Yeah, they actually selling more oil now than before the war. Yeah, because the oil from the that's coming through the Strait of Hormuz cannot
Can't go
come through.
through.
Yeah, they can't
Lock
Yeah,
come
off.
through.
When them lock
yeah.
off that.
All right, they are them mention a couple
And that
countries.
and that is a statement of sovereignty too, But
Yeah.
you can say, listen,
Resist. You resist.
nobody now
No,
pass through yourself.
but when you're faced with an extent whatever word
External threat.
exists that extra word there.
Existential,
Yeah, yeah.
existential.
Yeah, they're
Exist.
right there.
That extra word there, threat. Yeah.
Mm.
And
Existential.
your sovereignty, your life depend on it. Your back is against the wall. This is what I would like to see happening in Africa as a union and not as an individual countries.
But the
Minus the
sovereignty.
back against the wall part. We don't have to
My
weak thing, we back against the wall,
Yeah,
right?
I was just going there, because they mentioned a couple of countries a while ago, but I
Mm.
didn't mention no African country a while ago.
This is why I say you have other like some indigenous place where them are deal with them sovereignty same way too.
Hmm.
yo
Yeah,
Okavango,
but me I said I didn't mention no
that is
African
what
country
happened. That
being
is what
sovereign.
happened when you hang out around too much people who don't have Africa at the forefront of their mind. You
Mm.
start getting to the same thinking where you're worried about the war, you're worried about America, you're worried about Israel, you're worried about EU, and Africa is way down on your list.
Yeah.
And
But
and,
But
and
but
this
but
is what the
which
podcast is
African
wait,
about.
country
wait.
would have
I want
said
to say this
sovereign?
though. But Africa will be way down on the list because Africa, countries in Africa, most of them are influenced by outside entities. So that's why it is hard for you to think about
So that's why I
sovereign
said, that's why I say,
countries on the
that's why I say,
continent.
which country in Africa you that
Which
listen and
one?
say, yo, they stand up on them sovereignty.
Which one?
The
South
closest we
Africa,
can think about, the
No,
closest we can think about a Burkina Faso.
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe close.
Ethiopia.
nah.
Why
Ethiopia have
not?
a big English influence, The English influence Ethiopia in a big way, When
Oh,
the economy, stuff like that. So we know there's that influence.
Hmm. Ethiopia.
I'm not really sure about that,
Would I
Dingy.
put Ethiopia upon it?
No.
Would I put Ethiopia upon it? Though? But it's that.
The fact is,
Mhm.
most African countries, maybe all African countries, the sovereignty is based on,
Alliances.
it's not based on them, really and truly,
Mhm.
because a flip on the switch,
It's off.
it's off.
Yes, man.
So it's
That's
based
why.
on
That is the
someone else's
point where we are saying.
generosity. It's based on
So,
someone else's
It, it,
generosity.
based
so
on
that's
who is
why.
giving
That's
you
why.
aid.
So that's
Right.
why. That's why. When we talk about sovereignty now, we are talking about in its true form. That's why we not even really list them in our list because we are say we know say there is a lot of external influence in these things, and that's why Yaga call for where Yaga say, this is what we want to see out of the African nations. That's why Yaga call for that. So we are say that in a real life, right? The closest thing me see to a sovereign nation in Africa today, we would have say a Burkina Faso.
Mm.
The
Closest to,
Sahel states.
yes, to,
And still, the Sahel
I
states
wouldn't I
still
wouldn't
in
say
a.
that.
mm,
I wouldn't say that.
Mm-mm.
And the reason why
mm-hmm.
Burkina Faso give up France, yes, a colonial master and the leech who
And
is been on them skin for a long
The
time, but
least
them
of the
give up,
continent,
France for Russia.
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 Yeah. So them
Yeah, but
attach themselves to one at least same country we call sovereign.
I wanna,
it
I
Have
is
wanna, I
some
wanna, I wanna, I wanna say
That's what I'm
something
saying. Them,
about
that is the closest we see.
Ethiopia, right?
Mm-hmm.
In 2016, Ethiopia signed what they call the strategic, or the Ethiopia Green Legacy Initiative, right? Who it signed with? It signed with the EU for development within the country, right?
Mm.
What happens when these countries, the EU countries now, how does that influence the economics within Ethiopia? And that's what we talk about too, right? There are restrictions when you make these deals with these Europeans. And that is what infringes
Towards the
on your
development.
sovereignty. Yes, because now you don't have control of your economics.
True,
That becomes an issue. So
true,
when we
true.
look at countries in Africa today, we can't really say, hey, this one is truly independent of
Not
some type of
independent, sovereign. Not
influence. Yeah,
independent,
or
sovereign.
well,
There's a lot of
sovereign,
them independent.
sovereign,
Mm-hmm.
sovereign
Mm.
of this influence. We can't really pinpoint it.
True.
It's very difficult, and that's the problem with Africa. How could you not be sovereign?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
True.
I think we cannot say Africa because we are called for sovereignty. Like
Right.
every African country is
Every
influenced
African
in some way
country.
or the other.
And not for wait till the worst possible case, worst possible scenario to come up and say, okay, we go
But how
stand up
does
for
that
that. No.
happen though? If you don't have control of your economics, your wealth, your natural resources, how does it happen?
Strategic planning.
Let
Strategic
no,
me
you
planning.
tell
see,
you.
what's going on now is exposing the vulnerability that Africa is experiencing. And
Mhm.
we are saying Africa have a free trade agreement, which we need to see improve within the continent. So if we're
Mhm.
gonna do business with you, EU,
Intercontinental
if we're gonna do
trading.
business with Russia, anybody at all we're gonna do business with, it has to be on our terms. Since you have what they want, every other country is demanding the terms that they need. Why is Africa not negotiating as a bloc? Why are they not forming agreements as a bloc? Because individually they will pick us off. And individually, we are powerless.
Yeah, because
But
I flip
again,
on the
again,
psychological
Yaga,
effect of the manganese too. Because the psychological effect of the manganese cause these things as well. You
right.
understand? And then on top of that, the educational training of the leaders cause these things as well because they're trained to think that this is the status quo. Like I was watching a Trevor Noah interview, a short, and he was talking about this interaction between an African people and some, I think they were British or European, Caucasian. I don't remember exactly which country, but I think it was in British. And they were talking about how they spent time in this African country and they were so amazed by everything because they were like, wow, people live like this. So at the end, they brought some of these African people back to England to experience their side of life, how things were in their life. And him saying, you know, when one day the man come in from work, so the African people are saying, yo, where you go every day? You leave your family every day and we're gonna see you for how much hours. Where you go every day? The man said, we go work. And I said, work, what's work? He said, oh, this is how I provide for my family, take care of my family. So I said, okay, no problem. So he said, why you don't bring your family to work with you? He said, no, you can't do that. That's not allowed. That's not allowed. You understand? So he said, okay, so why you don't leave your work? No, he said, you love your family more than your work, or you love your work more than your family. The man said, no, we love our family more. So he said, so why you don't leave your work and stay with your family? He said, no, because that's how we provide the things that we need. So I'm gonna tell him, say, well, in our culture, how we do things, um, when somebody have a need for a house in our society, everybody come together and build him a house. So there's no mortgage, there's no bills. You
Mm.
understand? We just come together, it take a little time to do it. We do it. Once it's done, everybody go back to them family and coexist and live in them family settings. So it must say it's like it dawn on the man now to say you know sometimes when you're in a situation you think that that's the only situation and that's the only possible way that this can occur. Like we were talking the other day, we were saying all these things, and people were in the comments and saying, "Oh, but you need money to do these things. You need these things." So that's an example of it where I said because we are socialized and cultured in this way, we think that that's the only way these things or these needs can be met. You understand? And as it relates to sovereignty, sometimes because people are trained to think that the Western approach of life and the Western experience of life is the only and the best experience of life, they will give up their sovereignty to achieve that. You understand? Because if you don't do that, you don't have no ambition. You don't want to develop. You don't want to do good for your country. You understand? Whereas you could build on the foundations of your culture, holding true to your moral values, holding true to your ethical values, holding true to your
Family values.
environmental values, and develop yourselves based on those foundations, which are, and I will add, stronger foundations to build on too. You understand? So our African leaders, our African brothers and sisters, nations have a responsibility to reclaim their sovereignty. And even though we see with the Sahel states and Burkina Faso, where we see that it was a formation of a new alliance with Russia. But what I will say with Russia, because I will also add that Cuba is a sovereign country, right? And have stood in their sovereignty irrespective of threat, irrespective of um, all the negative impacts that it has caused on them. They have stood in their sovereignty. But yet still we see that they have an alliance with Russia as well. So
And Russia is a reliable partner.
Well, I won't go as far as saying reliable partner, but I will say that they take a less active role in the administration of these countries that they are aligned to.
Well, when I say reliable partner, despite the war, despite the situation, they are still prepared to send gas to the EU. They are
Mhm.
still prepared to send oil to the EU.
Because their focus is making sure that them do
Money.
the good same way. So
It's money.
them not discriminate.
It's trade.
That's
It's
why
money.
that's why they claim themselves to be a reliable partner.
But we not even looking at their reliability. But back to the IAGA when you say, well, African countries need to be trading with each other and having this intertrade on the continent. That's perfect, right? But the problem is, as we discussing, these countries until they are in control, until they have actual sovereignty, that is always going to be the challenge for African countries being able to trade amongst themselves, develop this one African bloc, this one voice represented by one people, right? Have this power that they so need. The only way Africa is ever going to rise out of this dust eye is when they could protect themselves because
And,
they
and,
cannot
and don't
protect
even pick no side in
themselves.
the war.
They're
Just choose
vulnerable.
Africa. Just
They're
choose Africa.
vulnerable. Yes, yes. You have to
Well,
have protection.
them way behind when it comes to the defense,
You have
Because
to have
first
defense
of
to
all,
make them
I
decision.
agree. First of all,
Yeah,
to really have defense, you have
yeah.
to have manufacture your defense.
Right.
You can't rely on
Our
buying
external
your
forces.
defense. No, not
Yeah,
external forces, buying your defense.
yeah,
Because any given time them can put sanctions to say you cannot buy
of
these
course.
things from anybody. So in
And
order to
when
really
does that
have your defense,
happen?
you have to be
How does
manufacturing
that
defense.
happen? Africa got to figure out how to build defense systems,
Hmm.
whether it's under guise, hidden, however you do it. You
Which is
have to figure
which,
out how to
which
manufacture and
which is why
develop
I say
weaponry.
it relies strategic planning. It rely
Yes,
on
sir.
strategic
You
planning, brother.
must. Until then, people always
The
crown
sovereignty is
come
a threat.
So based on
at the
what?
risk.
Based on what we have seen and what the item say, right? We have seen countries, try to uphold the sovereignty or try to go in a different direction
Mhm.
when it and we're seeing where these bigger powers attack them and impeach on their sovereignty. So it seems like if you cannot defend the sovereignty, you cannot be truly sovereign. If you cannot defend that
No,
sovereignty.
can defend it. You
Yeah,
can
because
And
defend
you
it.
need weapons.
you can't say
Need
you're
You need
sovereign.
weapons
weapons.
to defend it.
You can't say you're sovereign and can't defend the sovereignty.
No, you
Right,
can no. You
Yes,
can no. You can
right.
no. But you're gonna lose it if you can't defend it.
That's what I say
yeah,
now.
because you didn't
So
really have it
you
then.
can say you're sovereign. You're
So your
sovereign.
sovereignty, if you have it and cannot defend it, your sovereignty is
You're
just
gonna
based
lose
on
it.
someone else but
Will,
Recognition.
yeah,
will. Someone
will.
else will.
Because
Hmm.
any day someone else decide that can take us away, decide that, you know what, you are no longer sovereign, they can just
Mhm.
impeach on that, you know what I mean? Impede on that.
Yeah,
So you
Yes,
have
of
to
sir.
can
course.
defend that sovereignty. To be
Mhm.
truly, so I said, to be truly sovereign, you have to can defend that
And
sovereignty.
and that
You
is
have
that
to
is
have
another
weapons to
reason.
defend it.
That is another reason. That is
You
another
have to
reason
have. All right.
why we never call enough
So
for the African country them.
if
Mm.
we look at the
African country can really
situation,
defend it.
if we look at the situation in the Middle East now,
Mm-hmm.
seeing we see a lot of the Middle East countries being attacked by their neighbor Iran. And you might think that they're attacking.
Territories of these,
Then I
but
make him
not the
finish
not
that.
the
Then I make him
country.
finish that, man. Make him finish
Yeah.
that, and they talk after.
I saw him go
Territories
on
of
all the
this.
while, man.
Then I make him finish that. I think it's say.
Territories of this.
That go on, Yaga.
See? So territories, Dada.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you might think that they are attacking the country, but they are not really attacking the country. They are attacking American interests, which happens to be staying in an hotel sometimes and different location, different facility. And as you see the war prolonged, they were able to defend their skies by shooting down a lot of these drones and a lot of these missiles. But as the system become overwhelmed, you find a bit of debris get through here and there, and a bit get through there and create some damage. So they were able to provide the security that they need through buying these American made weapons. But it wasn't able to defend them or give them the security because they were still being attacked despite all of the weaponry and all of the security guarantee that they have in place. So for Africa to be truly sovereign, we have to be manufacturing and developing these weapons ourselves. And we have to be armed up to the teeth with nuclear because that seems to be the only deterrent from a war starting and they running in onto your country. There's no other substitute. And we have to control our resources by refining a lot of these minerals that we have and we possess. Otherwise, we're still gonna be a consumer. Once you're a consumer, you rely on outside people to come and buy the raw material, develop and refine the product, and then we buy it at a more expensive price, which creates a pressure on our foreign exchange, and it creates a burden on our debt ratio as well. So for Africa to be truly independent, African Union, we don't need to hear no statement from you about the war. We need to hear a statement from you about what we are doing to develop Africa's sovereignty, to develop the minerals and the raw materials that we have within the continent. And I will cite an example. In Mali, they start to refine gold. And in one community, they start to giving back to the community that they get the gold from, some dividends from the profit that they made from that gold. And that is what we need to see, the people benefiting from their resources within the continent.
Reinvestment
Yes,
within
sir.
the country. Yeah. But it's a challenge for Africa, right? And African countries, I should say, right? And that is how do they overcome these challenges? Because even though we could identify what they should be doing, as many other African leaders have identified within Africa today and what they should be doing, it is easier said than done. Until Africa could defend herself, African countries could defend themselves, we have a challenge. We have a real challenge of moving forward, of being
The time is
dominated.
right, Bingy. Now is the time
Now is always
in
the
which we are
time.
supposed to be pivoting because you see, EU is crumbling now and trying to reassert itself. America is trying to reassert itself and they are focusing their attention elsewhere. So this is a time when Africa needs to galvanize and come together as a union, as a bloc, and start pivoting within the continent and doing trade and doing business with our brothers and our sister countries.
There's
no better time than now.
This one the other must say, right? It seems like you have some countries who doesn't have respect for sovereignty. So this is why other countries have to have protection to protect their own sovereignty. You must have some kind of protection for their sovereignty because the other countries that don't respect the sovereignty of other nations, right? But we are love to see the world at a place where everyone's sovereignty is respected, no matter what. You know what I mean? Once a government.
How is that gonna happen if the institutions that are there to protect that sovereignty is not doing anything? The institutions that are there to be protecting that sovereignty and protecting countries are not doing anything because they are funded by these countries who are attacking people's sovereignty.
Listen, for human beings to come to any kind of realization on how everybody should be treated as equals, it would take something catastrophic to happen. on this
And
earth.
that's still only gonna be for the
Catastrophic.
time. It's gonna still only be for the time that
And
that
for
catastrophic
short
effect
time,
is felt.
human beings gonna feel that effect of togetherness, unity. But it will take that. It would take literally something very catastrophic that would affect all of humanity for humanity to reach to this global one understanding where everybody's equal, everybody survive in the same way, everybody have to cooperate. Until that time come, all goes on as before.
We want to make the
Yeah.
viewers know so we are reason about national sovereignty, if this is still real or it is just
Global
a
sovereignty.
global sovereignty.
Yeah.
Is still real or it is just a political illusion we keep pretending that exists.
That
You know,
exists.
we think
Right.
about borders that are drawn and the flags that are waved. Leaders talk about taking back control. But in a world ruled by global markets, international institutions, multinational corporations, and digital surveillance, who actually holds the power? You know, so if the reasoning connect with you, make sure you like and share the reasoning with someone who you think might benefit. And remember to subscribe to the chat class.
That
Right
that
now,
that one statement when make all the while when say what can happen to man that I say go?
and I mean I'm a father.
Your father.
Don't mix me up.
What do you hear say?
What happened to man happened to a lot
I'm
of
to
man.
men. I'm to men, right? So I'm saying the world have to be at a place where when someone's sovereignty is impeached or somebody try to, you know what I mean, going on someone's sovereignty, the world have to be at a place where we can stand up to it. You know what I mean? And
I said, no, that's not right.
one country or these two countries who
Mhm.
does break the laws that them claims that them
Mhm.
have, and
Mhm.
then no every because I don't know if it's fear or because they have nothing to lose or nothing to gain
Mhm.
in what was going on. No one said nothing about it. We have to be at that place. We have to just Africa.
But you know that such a policy exists, right?
Huh?
You know that such a policy exists, right?
I don't understand what you said. Like where?
What you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
there is a policy for that in international relations.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to
Name,
highlight to it
namely,
when that
namely,
happened.
namely collective security,
Yeah,
which was implemented by through the vision and wise mind of His Majesty Haile
His
Selassie,
Majesty. Yes,
right?
I.
Right. So what we are saying is until these people in these positions can overs that when sovereignty is stepped on anywhere, it's a threat to sovereignty everywhere. You understand? Until men in these positions realize that, because okay, Iran, when we look at Iran situation, the reason why we see this need for this action in high
Well
speed.
thought, that. Someone is playing something in the background. Who's playing that? Can you please turn it off? Who's playing something?
No, somebody talking, man.
Yeah? You
Yeah.
need to stop that, man.
Yeah,
Go on,
what
Dada.
may I say? What may I say? Seeing, may I say, this situation with Iran, when we look at it, right? Why we see this happening is that I believe that they are trying their best to cause this disturbance in Iran's nuclear program so that they do not get to weapons grade nuclear, right?
So
And
they
they're
claim.
doing that because they don't know how close they are to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they say Iran say they're not going that direction, but they don't know how close they are to it, and they do not want them
Dada,
to have that.
Dada, I have to stop you right there
Mhm.
because in 2025 in a June, them say them destroyed the program then.
We know this. So
Yes.
this is what I'm saying. This is why we're saying that. This is why we're saying that this is why they have done this, based on their reasoning.
That
Based
can't
on
be the
their
reason
reasoning.
that
We know. But I'm saying based on their reasoning.
Based on their reason. Okay, go on.
Based on their reasoning, we're saying this is what they're saying, right? So I'm saying, okay, so why don't they want anyone else to have weapons grade nuclear for accessibility, but yet all the people that they're trying to prevent from having weapons grade nuclear for accessibility are not the people who are going around the globe and causing problems and causing issue with anybody.
Mm.
We
because they
don't
said
we don't see.
because
Go ahead, Jaga.
they said that Iran is a threat to Israel,
Mhm.
and Iran said they're gonna wipe Israel off the map.
I've never heard them say that, but I hear Israel say that about them.
Listen, they said Iran said they chant death to America all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And what the name Exeter when one name?
Mm-hmm.
He said they chant death to America, and anywhere anyone on the earth threaten Americans, they will find them and kill them. And that's what they're doing.
Mm. All
But
right.
they were in negotiation the day before it all kicked off.
Both
All right.
times.
They
Both
were in
times.
negotiation, and this is the interesting part of it. Both times they were in negotiation, and this happened. So we can't trust you anymore.
But brother, I'm gonna tell you the truth, because you can use small things, for mark big things, me look on a community level, right? And when we see communities in turmoil, in conflict, right? I'm hear them coming with peace talks, right? Cause them not say discussions are, them say peace talks, right? And anytime you see two community at it, I hear them say peace talk, you guarantee there's something coming behind that. Because it's almost like it's a strategy what one side will use to get the other side comfortable or to lay down them defense or not be as defensive.
Drop
And
their guard.
as soon as that happens, them take action. And we see them do it on both occasions. They bring them to the table to have this discussion. And while they're in discussion with that, they're planning over there, say, okay, attack. You understand?
And here's the problem, right?
Mm.
War, as we know, is really unjust. There's no justification. You can't give me a right reason to wage a war. There is
Exactly.
no right reason for waging a war on anybody, right? At all, because to the end of the day, you trying to dictate that country's destination or will or direction, right? That's what you're trying to do. And most of the time, take their resources. War is an unjust thing. We talk about war like, hey, this is just happening, right? We don't even we're not even sensitive to how many people are actually dying on a daily basis. People are displaced, homeless, have no running water, have no place to defecate, like basic human rights. How these people live because of these decisions these men are making. The question is, when does humanity mature enough to understand that war itself has no justification? It is
But
wrong, wrong, wrong.
when the
Can
philosophy
you imagine,
that
Bingy?
one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned.
Yes, I.
Because we,
That's
His
we have to
then
Majesty
remember that
live on
war,
road.
His
war is
Majesty.
the war is the effect, of
Oh,
injustice,
yes,
War is
yes.
the effect of injustice. So when we say there's no justified reason for war, that is on the attacker side. But on the people who are fighting for their sovereignty, who are fighting for their livelihoods, who are fighting for their well-being, it's justified
Who
because
are
they are
facing
being trampled.
I'm
Yes,
still trying to find that X word.
Yes,
existential
Existential threat.
threat.
yes.
Yes.
That
Right.
word. Yeah. Can you imagine someone chant death to America or death to whatever, and your reaction is to drop a bomb on a school
School.
and kill 100 over 150 schoolgirls. That's, yeah, because someone said dead to America.
And there's no outcry. There's no outcry for that.
No outcry, no apology,
actually, I
nothing.
want to correct you guys. They did say that Iran did that.
Or it could have come from
You can't
anywhere.
make this up. You can't make this up.
They did say that was not the Americans doing. Iran bombed the school and killed these 200 schoolgirls.
And
And there is no outcry. That is a sad part of it. There
the
is no
only
outcry.
the only European country I see say something about it is Spain. I've not heard anything at all from South America. I maybe I've missed it, but I didn't hear nothing from Africa. You know what I mean? In South Asia, I hear nothing at all. Everyone just silent about it. Well, China
And
and
China
Russia.
and Russia,
And
China and
Russia big
Russia,
statement, and North Korea. You
in
know,
the UN conference, them spoke
they're gonna say
about it.
something.
those don't count. They don't count them.
Mhm.
Yeah,
As they
but
talk about that, they said when they did the vote, because they vote on this motion, I believe, to say, um, what was it again? Like to blame Iran for attacking these other Arab states and to basically come to a point of basically sanctioning Iran then over this, right? And China and Russia said they did basically a no vote, like them did
Mhm.
vote.
They
And
abstain.
they abstained. Everybody else voted whether yes, pretty much, right? So what me I try to grasp is why you never just vote no? Why you abstain? Because what I get to understand based off of policies and these things, and when you don't vote, is a yes vote.
No, it
Can't
don't
be.
count. It don't count.
Why? In these situations,
Mhm.
when they call for a vote, is
Mhm.
a yay or a nay, right?
Mhm.
If you don't vote, it counts as a yay.
where?
Where you hear where you say that, Ras?
Yeah, where's that from?
Where you say
So,
that?
so
Where where
all of these things are governed, right, by certain rules, right? What they've established, pre-established rules for all of these kind of situations, right? And within them, the rules there, when you don't vote, it counts as a yes vote.
In the UN?
All of these things, brother.
No, man. In the UN, you can abstain from voting,
Mm-hmm.
and them just don't count. Them just don't count it.
that's what I'm
The thing is,
saying.
then we don't vote. It doesn't help the situation. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It doesn't help the situation because why them didn't have a vote for say them against America bombing Iran?
That's
If
what
that
I
and
say.
that
Why you not
that was the
vote
real
and say
plan. That was
no?
that the vote them should have.
Right. Vote and say no.
And Iran technically is not attacking the Gulf states. They're attacking
Mm-hmm.
American business in the Gulf states because
Interest.
they are under threat from America. So
Mm-hmm.
these
And not only
they
that,
they see
Bumbo.
I'm said they see these American
As a threat.
no that fear target
No, but
American
all
bases
the
army
time,
bases.
remember, say a lot of these places are where the attacks are coming from at them.
Yeah.
Because that's where they're using her to launch these attacks. So then you have to get rid of that because these are your threat, these are your immediate threat to your place. So you have to move them the thing and get them out of the survey because you don't
I'm
get.
not quite sure there was any attack from their neighbors and Iran. But what happened? They've got certain surveillance units, satellites
Mm-hmm.
that basically tracks the incomings and feed that back into a database,
Mm-hmm.
which they use in their calculation for their projection and their posturing. And the intent was supposed to blind those eyes so that they can't see
Mm-hmm.
and they lose
Right.
those ability
Mm.
to intercept
But
So
that is an
them a
important part
help.
of the attack.
So them a
That's an
help.
important part of the
Them a
attack.
help. As the famous Jamaicans say, if you can't get quack, just busting shot. That's where it go. Because them can't bomb America because they're too far. They don't have the capability to bomb America. So them bomb, but them can't bomb.
No, the fact that we're not hearing a lot of outcry on this, it brings me to the question about digital surveillance and who actually holds the power and why people as individuals and as countries are so afraid of saying exactly what they are seeing in front of them, what they are experiencing, and why they are afraid of condemning the war and the attack, especially on children. Brother Lonnie, pick up yourself. If you're there, jump in a chat class, man, and come burn peace of fire.
Fear, Yaga, fear. And I like to say we use small things to mark big things, right? For example, you remember like in the school playground, right? Where one person might be the bully and try to bully other people. But because that bullying isn't directed at you, and for the fear that that bullying then will be redirected at you, when you see it happening, you stay quiet. Understand? You stay quiet. And that's what's happening on the global scale, right? Because these other nations are scared that if they come out and oppose these actions, then they are at risk of these actions being directed at them. And that is what is causing that. But you cannot
Retribution.
stand in that.
Dada, speaking on the global level, we have always known using the same bully. We have always known that the bully was about, right? But now it seems more than ever than that the bully is, you know
Bullying.
what I mean?
The bully is bullying.
Bullying, right?
Is emboldened.
For some reason. With this US regime, we see like every continent face some kind of threat. We see Europe face some kind of threat of sovereignty. In South America, in Africa, in Asia, everywhere is, you know what I
Tariffs
mean?
are sanctions.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
everybody's sovereignty was
there's a list. There's a
either
list.
the threat of impeding on the sovereignty or the sovereignty was impeded on. You know what I
And
mean?
let's not leave out the visa.
Why they are them things all of a sudden, like, you know what I mean? Because normally maybe it was like Africa and just the Middle East, but everywhere is
I
like
want
it
I
now.
want to I want to say this, right, Okavango. There's a couple of things happening here, right? That we see this current administration doing that we could identify what they're doing, right? One is based on needs, right? In order to stay on top or be the world most dominating force, you need resources. So because you need resources, we see this action to interact everywhere globally. When America look at herself historically, America is an adolescent country. It is 250 years old. America as a country. We think about that. America has never been an empire. With the people who are ruling right now, they also want to establish themselves as an empire within historical terms. They have never gained that. Even though we think about America as this great country, America is a very adolescent country. So what they're doing now with this present government and administration they have is leaving a mark in world history as this dominating force, right?
Of this
But,
empirical
but
force.
yes, and not only that, because there's this need for resources, we're going to see them going everywhere and imposing themselves on other people, right? As we call it, bullyism, right? That is going to happen because they at a point where it must happen. There's another thing happening globally too. The Caucasian is also looking at preservation. And because he's looking at preservation, he's trying to do all these things to preserve himself as well, right? We see a decline in the Caucasians globally, right? As a people, right? That is another concern that this current administration has. That's why you see immigration policies and stuff happening too, right? It's to affect the interaction between Caucasians and other peoples. So we see a whole
Non-Caucasian.
bunch of things happening, and it's happening at a time period which is going to be marked, right? It is significant within this time period as a 250th birthday anniversary of America itself, and they mark, they leave in world history according to this administration.
Mm, true. And next thing to Bingi, because the question
Well,
was,
and
how do you see this
before
happening?
you jump in at that, we are on a poll in the live about is sovereignty alive or has it already died? So
Mm.
just drop a yes or a no to give your indication of whether you think sovereignty is already dead or it is still alive.
Yes, sir. Yeah. In response to the question, right? We see the reason why this is able to happen is because one, we have a president, right, who, and I've been looking at some old interviews from him, some old clips from him in interviews, right, way before
And
he
we,
was.
we, I mean, America, our president. I mean, America, right? They say we.
Okay, the U.S. has a president,
Okay.
Right.
right,
Mhm.
who has um had a ambition of righting the wrongs of previous presidents, because his comments, his statements have been that a lot of these things that are going on in the world, the presidents before should have taken care of this. And if he's the president, he's going to take care of this. One of them, Iran, right? One other one, Cuba, right? Venezuela. So these are some of the things. And now what we see is we see him effecting these threats, right? The second reason is that he has around him people who will not oppose the things that he wants to do, whether they are legal, whether there is liability created from it or not, it doesn't matter. So in a Jamaica, would I say him have a whole heap of yes man around him. So
Mm.
anything him
Yeah,
say,
man.
they're going to say yes.
Yes, boss.
So these are the primary and the fundamental reasons why we see these things happening. Because one, he has an ambition to do these things which he thinks were shortcomings of previous presidents. And secondly, we see him surrounding himself with people who are afraid or who will just not. Because the next thing too is that he has put people in these positions, these decision-making positions, who have no um awareness,
Qualifications.
not even qualification, awareness of
Hmm.
the required skill sets to deal
Hmm.
with these things. I'll use an example. I was speaking to someone the other day, and they were telling me that they were having a situation where they're talking to a person. The person's father had died. The person lives in the US, the person's dad lives in St. Vincent, right? And they were having a discussion about when the person would go. And the person was trying to explain to them that, basically to say it's not set as yet. It has to be set. So they couldn't give the person a time, right? So what what I came out of that to me is that how culturally some simple things to one culture can be so complex to another. Because the other person being from the US, if somebody dies, it's a very straightforward process. You know, set a date for the funeral, you have the funeral. Whereas for a person in the Caribbean, somebody dies, it's not such a straightforward process. Because then you have to contact family members in all these different continents or locations to organize on a mutually convenient date to set something as straightforward as a funeral date. And I use that as an example to say that these people that are around Trump, they don't have any awareness of the cultural differences and the cultural implications in these places. So they cannot make reasonable decisions because they are not aware of the cultural implications. You understand? And if you do not surround yourselves with people who are aware of the cultural implications, then you cannot make good decisions. So you have to end up in a situation like this. And that is the problem.
And I'll go one step further and say it's not that they're not just aware, they don't respect either.
True.
They don't respect the other cultures. They don't
True.
respect. That's why you can just, because you have no respect for a Shia Muslim and the way they do things, you can just go and just murder as the supreme leader of a country. Not just of a country, but of a religion, a religious leader. And think that's okay, everybody gonna praise you. No. You have billions of Muslims who see that as, you know what I mean? What's going on? You target a religious leader. You know what I mean? Imagine someone target their religious leader, who is the Pope, and take him out.
A problem.
Imagine the uproar that will cause.
Problem. It's not going to be war.
Huh?
It's not going to be uproar, it's going to be war.
Yeah, I'm saying it's going to be war. So what do you think is going to happen when you take one another religious leader from another group? So because
you know, so you raise a valid point, Okavango, because we keep talking about this just from the geopolitical framework. And we don't talk about it from the religious framework.
But because religion is always dictating what's happening.
Yes.
That's why we're not there. Yeah, it's the basis of it.
No, but it's a serious thing, It's a serious thing, They didn't just target because a leader of a country, they target a religious leader, And Shiite Muslim is not just in Iran, They are all over, And they see this person as their leader. So when you take out
supreme leader.
Listen, I think personally the repercussions of this, is not when this war is finished, or say the ceasefire or whatever, it's not going to be over,
Far reaching.
It's not going to be over. Yeah, this is a major. I can't remember when this has ever been done where you target a religious leader. You know what I mean? You actually targeting a religion.
But remember, I want to say that if you're a Christian and these people are mostly aligned with the Christian right, there's nothing else but Christianity. Islam is a horrible religion to them, So if they could fight and eradicate Islam altogether, that's what they would do. Whether it's Shiite, Sunni, whatever form of Islam you think it is, if they could get rid of it, they would. Because we know that because you're not Christian, you're not like they are. So they want to exercise this dominance in every way possible, Whether it's through religion, because even when you look at Africa, what did they do in Africa? They went to Africa and say, hey, listen, the Muslims doing this. They drop 2 little bomb, right? Listen, we have to pay attention to what is happening. And because we're dealing with adolescents and the power that has been given to them, and they think they have a right to do what they're doing, they're going to continue to do it until somebody could actually stand up to them. That's what a bully does.
Yeah,
the bully don't stop until somebody stands up to the bully.
And that is so right, because I think because they're just in their little bubble of America, and they hear the little rhetoric around America, they don't realize that Islam, there's over 2 billion, 3 billion people that practice Islam in the world.
Not 3 billion, but about 2 billion, yeah.
Yeah. So because around is all Christians and they don't like Muslim, or they don't, have nothing to do with Muslims. You think that you can just, just take out a result and just attack people, and there's no repercussion from it. And things doesn't work like that.
It's gonna be far reaching.
And see, these people are not learning from their past mistakes. Well, they don't want to say that mistake, and that
they don't see it as a mistake.
Because the first thing that they are the one that create this whole thing with Iran, they create it by themselves, this didn't start. They act like it started when the Iranian chant death to America, you know. But then what they're not telling about 1953 when they what you call it now? Help to host the they help to host the democratic, remember, democratic elected leader of Iran, you know, because he wanted sovereignty over the oil, you know. We're talking about sovereignty, right? He wanted sovereignty over the wealth, what do you call it?
The resources
of Iran. He wanted to have sovereignty over it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't want that. So they got rid of him, helped to get rid of him, and put in their leader, which was the Shah, which then went on to become very unpopular with the Iranian because it was very brutal. He and his force, his personal guards were very brutal, and that led to the uprising.
Well, that lead to the supreme leader.
Yeah, and then what you have now is the
And this happening here too is also possible because of the division within Islam itself too, right? Because think about this, even though we looking at this region as being mostly Islamic, when we think about it, it's only 20% of Muslims live in this region, you know. The majority of Muslims are between Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, right? 60%. So now, if these people had a united front, right, it too as well, it would help what's happening to, you know, a united front. And we see how differences within religions do play a part within and breaking down the same system that you're all promoting to, right? Which makes you kind of
there's a
vulnerable.
distrust. There's a
Yeah.
distrust of each other that has been sown.
Yeah, because if you have that support too, let's say you have a Pakistan and India supporting you in a real way too, we know these people can't really do anything. That's why we have to understand what solidarity is. We must be have solidarity when we have to move forward and fight these aggressors because and listen, hats off to Iran because you know what you and I sitting here wanting? We wanting to see that they justified, that the outcome is them having their way as they've always had their way, right? For people who are thinking about justice, that's what we want to see because these people never did anything to deserve what is happening to them right now.
Yes.
They don't deserve it, right?
They are the victims.
They are the victims of this, right? And we talk about this one war. These people had no choice, right, but to retaliate, but to fight back, right? In whatever way they can. So the outcome, we out of this too, I'm saying, even for the Islamic world, they must look at unifying. How do they unify to have this solidarity so that these things don't happen? When you have these ideology of Christians against Muslims and you have wars being fought like that as well, where you have your supreme leader of any one sect getting wiped away in an instance and no real retribution globally. You should have uprising in Pakistan today. You should have
A lot of
uprising in
times, you know,
Bangladesh today. You should have uprising in India today because of that.
Bingy, just like how we talk about Africa needing to unite to have collective sovereignty,
Yeah.
the same thing, they need to
Same thing.
unite to have the sovereignty. And the globe need to unite to have sovereignty on the globe.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I.
was saying something.
a lot of times we reason about colonialism and the impact it play in all of these geopolitical sphere that we are experiencing. And it also has to do with these countries also because the British was around here. And when the British leave from Iran neighbors, Iran wanted a piece of the land. So there is still this mistrust that exists among them same way. Not only based on ideology, but based on colonialism also.
And we all know that anywhere, anywhere the British put their foot, it is death and destruction and
Mayhem.
confusion,
And
confusion follow.
mayhem.
And yes, because you can name all the wars and all the infighting going on over the world. The British as always have something to do with it. They were the one that took Israel and gave Israel the
A state.
Israelis,
A
so-called
state. A
Israelis,
state.
Israelites
A
are
state.
Jews. Give them land that didn't belong to them,
Right.
like it was
Right.
theirs to give. And we see what it lead to.
Hey, but when you talk about that too, you know, brother, it just this religious thing, you know, and if a person really not, it's so messed up that a person will use all of this that's happening to justify their religious ideology to say, oh, you see it is a fulfillment of prophecy. And they don't look at it and say, oh, but this can't make sense. Yeah, you see how when a person mind is imbalanced, how it can cause problem, brother. Because instead of looking at the thing for what it is and taking it for what it is, they look at it and say, see, this is first of all, they said this is a divine right of Israel, you know. First of all, you know, they said this is a divine right, right? And because it is a divine right, it makes it all right.
Yeah. You know, I was listening Piers Morgan the other day, and this Japanese, I don't remember his name, but he was talking about he predicted the war. He used circumstances to predict things, and he's predicting that Iran is going to win the war, and you know what I mean. He predicted a lot of things that happened before, right? But he mentioned something that I find fascinating, because this brother, the chief of war, I can't pronounce his name. Exet, his name is
Excess.
Yeah. He talk about the third temple. They're gonna build the third temple. Who know about that? Building of the third temple?
No.
Some third temple thing where they might try to manifest some
The Greater Israel Project.
The Greater Israel.
no, the coming of the Messiah.
Yeah, that is all
Yeah,
part
so
of it.
this war have to happen. This war have to happen for the
That's
Messiah to
all.
come back.
Yeah.
How would that?
I don't know if you can see this, but
There's a
it was a reading of the book of Esther on March 6th with the Prime Minister, the National Security Minister, the Major General, and the Military Secretary before them went on a rampage. And that is taken from the Torah.
And that is a significant thing to, you know, because the
Very.
book of Esther, you know, it's like they're talking about a direct threat on Israel, you know, because the decree was issued to wipe out all of them, you know. You understand?
I wait him again. Amlak.
Who that?
They might invoke Amlak, something like that.
I don't remember why.
Or Amalak, something like that, man. Yeah, man, something like that, man. Him send them go kill off everybody, even the children.
The children.
No, man, a different thing.
And like that.
Esther, they were what you call it? They were colonized by a foreign country. And I think the brother named Amlak did that influence the king to get rid of the Jews, right? And Esther was married to the king. So Esther was able to organize a thing now to save them from complete destruction.
Right.
So when them go out now in this now, is that them use that and say this is a action similar to that of Esther, where we are going to save ourselves from complete destruction.
Yeah. She saved them from genocide. Yeah.
Right. So me I say in this same Esther thing, when them say They know that God sent them to go kill everybody.
No, I'm not saying the Esther one. The Esther
Oh,
one.
that's the one that okay.
They
I do
were the
remember Bible a
slaves.
long time already.
They were the slaves. You see
Okay.
me? So when the king now, who didn't control of them, said them will kill all of them, get rid of them, because team
It's a
advisor against
genocide,
them.
yeah. Yeah.
Team advisor against them. So Esther now, at risk of her life, go to the king and I beg him a chance. I beg him. You know, see, so them I use that as a means to say, listen, if we
It's
don't do
not
this,
Mordecai,
if we
yeah.
don't do this, it's gonna result in our complete annihilation. So we have to do this. You understand? And remember, I said these are the things that them riveting at them brain. And these are the stories what them riveting at them brain.
But Ruth, in reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
We expect them to act like this because all the books always talk about eradication, doing fighting against this one, that one is always killing off. But they don't kill one or two people and then just wipe out whole peoples, whole nations.
All the
Throughout the book
animals.
is pure destruction. So what else do we expect of them? What could we expect of them if this is what they follow?
Yeah, they're gonna do what they do.
Yeah, man. True belief. That's why belief is a dangerous thing, I mean.
Yes, I. Yeah,
Very
man, but like
dangerous.
I say, in terms of sovereignty, we are say we are called for our African leaders for implement strategies to safeguard our sovereignty. We're calling for our African leaders to take action to regain those aspects of our sovereignty that we've lost based on decisions we've made in the past. We're calling our African leaders to realize that we are also at threat, we are also at risk, and not just in fear of these things to remain silent, but to speak up, to show our disagreement, to show our disdain for any action in this thing, because we remember that historically we were victims of this as well, and the world stood in solidarity with us. We look at our most recent one, that of apartheid in South Africa. The world stood in solidarity with that movement.
Which
All right,
world?
the world.
Which world?
Globally, there was global solidarity in favor of the blacks in South Africa to end apartheid.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
America never sit there.
No, we're not talking about them. We're not talking about the powers. We're talking about the people.
People.
Or
We're
the
talking
people,
about the
okay.
Yeah.
People,
people.
okay,
Right. We're
because
talking about the people.
if it was up to certain countries, should have
No,
been on the
we
same
know
way.
this. We already know this, but we're talking about the people.
Okay.
So we're talking about the significance of people taking action. A lot of the terrible things that have happened in the world is because good people remain silent and
Silent, yes,
quiet.
sir.
You understand? And it's important that we understand that we have a responsibility to do what we need to do. We have that responsibility and we need to do it.
The question
Very talk.
is still hanging in the air. Is national or global sovereignty truly alive, or have we been clinging to a political illusion long past its expiration date? Maybe sovereignty is evolving, maybe it's eroding, or maybe it was never as solid as we imagined. But one thing is certain for sure: the world we are stepping into will not be shaped by old assumptions, it will be shaped by those willing to question them. So take what you heard today, every argument, every perspective, every challenge, and carry it with you. Think about who really holds the power.
Yes, sir. Sovereignty,
Rise up,
sovereignty is
people.
under
Rise up.
sovereignty is under threat
Yeah.
in the
Rise
world
up.
right now. And for that threat to go away, it's a threat by the imperialists. We see where imperialists is raising this ugly head again. You know what I mean? And we know we already face the world already see what imperial government or imperial nation can do. We feel that especially as Africans, we feel that, and we don't want the world to go back to that place. We want to You know what I mean? Bingy has talk about, you know what I mean, maturity or what else was Bingy?
Human development. That is
Human
what we want to see.
development.
Human
Yeah.
development.
We want human development for parts that we're a place where, you know what I mean, everywhere we can, on the earth, we can have sovereignty, nation can live sovereign and be respected. The sovereignty can be respected, you know what I mean? You can be Muslim in your country and that is being respected. You can be Jew in your country or your land and be respected. You can be Yoruba, Igbo, and be respected. You know what I mean? Everywhere on earth, your culture, what you practice, or the way you choose to live is respected. You know what I mean? So that's what we want the whole world to be. You know, respect right across the board for everybody. Yes, sir.
Keep
Yes, sir.
watching, keep thinking, and keep questioning more. Don't just settle for what is put in front of you or what you were brought upon. Challenge the narrative. If it doesn't make sense, you need to ask questions. If it is not a part of your heritage, you need to ask questions. If it is not a part of your identity, you need to ask questions. Yes, sir. This is the
And
perfect balance chat class. Remember to
not
like,
just
share.
leave it at questions, but seek answers. Not just ask questions, but seek answers.
Yeah, a lot of people have the answers already, but it's that initial movement to embrace them heritage and embrace them identity is what is holding them back. So yeah, them need to explore the questions for themselves, because they have the answers already. Yes, sir. This is the perfect balance strat class once again. Join us tomorrow, same time. What time is it your time?
It was what? 6:30 a.m.
In the
7
US?
a.m.
I know 6:37.
let's
7
say
a.m.
7 a.m. in the US.
Eastern.
Eastern
Eastern.
time.
Yeah, I always get that right. Eastern and Western. And 11 a.m. UK time. Plus 4 GMT. Yeah, man. The chat class keep
Global.
chatting. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like what we are talking about, and make sure the message is reaching. We're over and we are out for today.
Yes, sir. I give thanks.
Yeah,
Give
give
thanks.
thanks for life.
Every time.